Why does time feel faster? As you get older, when you were 5 years old, a single year felt enormous. Summer vacations seemed endless. Waiting for your birthday felt like waiting forever. Christmas took an eternity to arrive. A school year felt like a lifetime. But now, entire months disappear without warning. One moment it's January, the next it's June, then somehow it's December again. Years begin to blur together, and many people eventually reach a terrifying realization. Time feels like it's speeding up, but is it? Of course not. A second is still a second. An hour is still an hour. The Earth still takes the same amount of time to orbit the Sun. Nothing about time itself has changed. So why does it feel like it has? Why does childhood seem endless, while adulthood feels like a runaway train? The answer may reveal one of the strangest illusions your brain has ever created, and it starts with a simple thought experiment. Imagine you're 5 years old. 1 year represents 20% of your entire life. That's huge. A single year is an enormous chunk of everything you've ever experienced. Now imagine you're 50. 1 year represents only 2% of your life. The exact same amount of time suddenly feels much smaller. Some psychologists call this the proportional theory of time, the idea that we judge the passage of time relative to the amount of life we've already experienced. When you're young, every year feels massive. As you age, each year becomes a smaller and smaller fraction of your life. And that may be one reason time appears to accelerate, but it doesn't explain everything, because even within a single year, adults often feel time moving faster than children. Something else is happening, something hidden inside the way your brain processes experience. Think back to your childhood. Almost everything was new. Your first day of school, your first friend, your first bike, your first movie, your first vacation, your first time seeing the ocean. The world was filled with firsts, and your brain paid attention. Very close attention. Novel experiences require processing. The brain works harder when encountering something unfamiliar. It records more details, creates stronger memories, builds richer mental snapshots. In a sense, the brain takes more photographs. Now compare that to adulthood. You wake up, drive the same roads, see the same buildings, talk to the same people, follow the same routines. Days begin to resemble each other. Weeks blend together. Months become difficult to distinguish. And because your brain encounters fewer surprises, it records fewer memorable moments. This creates a strange illusion. When you look back on childhood, you see thousands of vivid memories. The period feels long because your memory is densely packed. But when you look back on a routine year as an adult, there may be far fewer distinct memories. The year feels shorter because there are fewer mental landmarks. Imagine two roads, one filled with hundreds of signs, the other almost completely empty. Which journey would feel longer? The one with more things to notice. Your memory works in a similar way. The more memories your brain creates, the longer that period feels in retrospect. And that's where the real trick begins. Because your experience of time isn't determined by a clock, it's determined by memory. In other words, you don't measure life by time. You measure it by what you remember. And memory has another strange habit. It compresses repetition. Think about your daily commute. The first time you drove somewhere unfamiliar, every turn required attention. Every street mattered. Now imagine driving the same route for the thousandth time. Sometimes you arrive without remembering the drive at all. Your brain automated the experience. And when experiences become automatic, time seems to disappear. The same thing happens with years. The more predictable life becomes, the faster it appears to move. But there may be something even deeper happening. Something connected to attention itself. Children live almost entirely in the present moment. Everything is happening now. Everything feels important. Everything feels worth exploring. Adults often live somewhere else, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about work, thinking about bills, thinking about problems, thinking about the future. And when attention leaves the present, time becomes harder to experience fully. Hours pass unnoticed. Days disappear. Weeks vanish. Before long, entire years feel like they happened in the background. Then one day you look in the mirror and wonder where the time went. But perhaps the strangest part is this. The feeling that time speeds up seems to happen to almost everyone. People across cultures, across generations, across countries, across centuries. Many describe the exact same phenomenon. Childhood felt slow. Adulthood feels fast. Old age feels faster still, which suggests something profound. The sensation isn't a flaw. It may simply be a consequence of being human, of accumulating memories, of building routines, of becoming familiar with the world. The better you know reality, the fewer surprises it contains, and the fewer surprises it contains, the faster it seems to pass. But if that's true, then there may be a way to slow time down. Not literally, psychologically. Notice new things, travel somewhere unfamiliar, learn a skill, meet new people, change routines. Explore places you've never seen. Challenge your brain because novelty forces attention, and attention creates memories, and memories create the feeling of a longer life. Think about the years you remember most clearly. They're often not the easiest years. They're the years when everything changed, the years filled with uncertainty, adventure, growth, risk, discovery, because those were the years your brain was awake. Recording, paying attention, living fully, which leads to a surprisingly hopeful conclusion. Perhaps time isn't speeding up at all. Perhaps we're simply paying less attention. The clock hasn't changed. The earth hasn't changed. Time hasn't changed. Only our relationship with it has. And maybe that's the real mystery. Not why time moves faster as we get older, but why we stop noticing it. Because somewhere inside every adult is a child who once thought a summer lasted forever. And maybe the secret to slowing life down is learning how to see the world through their eyes again.